Shortly after the release of an audio recording this past Saturday morning of a conversation that allegedly included
the WNBA's awful officiating has long been the subject of complaints. Much of it has long been written off as incapacity, but it goes much beyond that. The WNBA could be rigged from the top down, according to a recently leaked radio clip. We are discussing meddling and manipulation directly from the commissioner's office. This explains why Caitlin Clark is being singled out in each game. To support it all, an internal probe has even been launched. However, is this the true cause of the league's silence as Caitlin Clark continues to be harassed? Come on in. According to the recording, there may have been a list of references under Kathy Angelbert's covert salary. Kickbacks and bribery were linked to Angelbert, the senior executive. Rumors of off-book vacation incentives and advisory bonuses following extremely contentious games. Providing special treatment to some players while ignoring the others is the covert goal. Given that recent games have raised serious concerns about the officiating, particularly in relation to a certain Caitlin Clark, this may be the largest crisis the WNBA has ever seen. Although there are several instances that seem to lend credence to this hypothesis, none are as notable as the last 2 seconds of the Fever vs. Liberty game. After a tactical Fever timeout, the game just began in the hopes of a spectacular conclusion. It appeared to be possible. Just before she was brutally removed from the ball, Sophie Cunningham threw the ball directly to Caitlin Clark, who attempted to position herself for the shot. There was clear contact, but no foul was called.
Screening action down low. Clark has to get open. 1 second left. Clark doesn't get the shot off. Cloud lofts her up, and New York comes into Indianapolis and takes the checkered flag.
Despite the fact that that one occurrence was crucial to the game, the referee completely ignored Clark and the entire Fever complaint. In the end, the Liberty prevailed 90-88. It's difficult to avoid wondering in situations like those whether the decision was made before the last whistle. In high-stakes sports, it feels not only unfair but also planned when clear calls are disregarded. The call's frequency is becoming quite noticeable and annoying for the typical Caitlin Clark admirer, and they cannot even be justified as the result of human error. These disparaging remarks about Clark began during her rookie campaign. She has consistently been the target of flagrant calls and heavy fouls. The Fever season came to an end in Game 2 of the WNBA playoffs when they lost to the Connecticut Sun 87-81. However, the game's officiating was what made the news. Clark pulled up for a deep three just over 3 minutes into the first quarter, but Dana Bonner's aggressive contest knocked him off balance. She turned to face the officials, expecting to hear a whistle, but she received no response.
Rebound against Indiana, something Connecticut did very well in the first quarter of Game 1. It's Clark, 3 to shoot. Gonna have to hoist from the logo, an air ball, and Clark wanted a foul. Felt like Bonner ran into her, but a shot clock violation.
Caitlin Clark put up with a lot of physical play during a hard-fought 103-88 loss to the Seattle Storm, which the officials largely disregarded. When laying a screen early on, Storm forward Ezi Magagor made clear body contact and pushed Clark off balance, but the referees chose not to call it. Or the occasion when Caitlin Clark absorbed a few hits before reaching the hoop during one of her outrageous drives. The referee barely raised an eyebrow.
One-on-one, Sammy Whitcomb with 8 seconds left. Goes around to Gumake, drives baseline, and shot rejected by Izzy Magagor. Second opportunity is up and in by Nalissa Smith.
Why does it seem like the WNBA is catching up to the one player who is truly saving the league rather than shielding her? That is the obvious question. This is the compensation she receives.
What I will ask you is this. Clearly, her return has obviously generated additional eyeballs. I have no doubt that the ratings are going to show as much. How receptive do you believe the WNBA is going to, I'm not talking about the league, but the players within the league are going to be towards Caitlin Clark moving forward now that we've seen what her absence, what kind of impact her absence provides?
It's getting harder to ignore the elephant in the room as Caitlin Clark continues to break viewership records. For some reason, even if Caitlin Clark's influence is obvious, it still seems like the league is making a concerted effort to highlight someone else. One athlete has escaped unharmed despite all the controversy and harsh treatment Caitlin Clark has endured. She appears to be the league's favorite with each game and whistle that goes by. None other than A'ja Wilson, the number 22 Las Vegas ace. The WNBA published a masterclass on how to gift wrap an MVP at their most recent meeting, the Fevers vs. Aces game. Wilson nearly outscored the whole Fever team with 13 free throws in that game. It was worse than that, too. It seemed like the whistle would blow right before the Fevers started running, slowing them down every time. The people know their GOAT, and it is not A'ja Wilson, despite the WNBA's valiant attempts to portray her as a queen and put her on fans' radars. Only 100,000 people saw the Connecticut Sun vs. Las Vegas Aces game on television, which was disappointing. It should be illegal to draw 100,000 spectators to a 2025 WNBA game that features the league's purported top player. At 580,000 viewers, Caitlin Clark has the lowest audience of the season. Although it is obvious who is in charge of this league, the WNBA has already decided where they will set up shop. Furthermore, it is regrettably outside of Caitlin Clark's domain. The situation has grown so bad that even coach Stephanie White was unable to remain silent. She has been vocally criticizing the treatment in her post-game comments.
I thought she got fouled. I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable.
Although they may not always be experts, fans typically have accurate theories and are able to detect when something doesn't smell right. The most recent one has to do with finances. Consider it. What are the ways that sports might generate income? Placing bets. Some of these referees may be manipulating games to increase betting profits. In the world of sports betting these days, even the smallest events, one foul, one missed call, can result in significant financial gain. Although the earnings aren't high, the margins are. This is not the first instance of a basketball referee taking part in wagering on games that he calls. The NBA referee was the most recent official to be implicated in a betting incident. After utilizing his secret knowledge to supply betting picks, many of which were on games he was actually officiating, he received a 15-month prison sentence. Although Don Nagy insisted he never altered the results, his accomplices disagreed. They wagered on games he refereed most of the time, and they won a lot. Now consider this. If it could occur in the NBA, why isn't it occurring in the WNBA, particularly with more money, attention, and pressure than ever before? In actuality, the league starts to lose credibility when players and fans lose faith in the referees. It may be extremely harmful for a league like the WNBA, which is just starting to get attention, particularly for WNBA Commissioner Angel Burt. Numerous transactions have been associated with her name. Some of the more contentious no-calls in recent memory have also featured the referees in the mix.
Clark
there's a
muscling
lot.
away.
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, Marina Mabry's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it.
Why hasn't she stood up to defend herself yet, assuming that all of the charges against Angel Burt are untrue? Why hasn't she given the media her blessing? There will be problems for the WNBA and its reputation if its leadership cannot be relied upon. A group of supporters has already begun to push for Angel Burt's resignation, and that agenda will gain momentum the longer issues like this continue to exist. For the sake of the game, we hope that everything was merely a fabricated story or that it may be used as a justification for poor officiating. However, these are increasingly more than just a few poor decisions. There is no doubt that this is something larger. Time is not on the WNBA side, so whatever action they decide to take to clear up this expanding situation must be taken quickly. Losing the confidence of their largest financial supporters is the last thing they want. Sponsors dislike uncertainty, and they most certainly do not want to be connected to a league that takes pride in being a champion for women's empowerment and whose leadership is the subject of accusations strong enough to warrant a federal investigation. Some individuals think that Adam Silver and the NBA ought to assume control of the WNBA and steer it in the proper direction. Although it may seem like a dramatic move, you can't help but wonder if the league is in dire need of it. That action would ultimately result in the referees being held responsible. At this point, something has to change quickly, so the fans would finally feel like their views mattered, and the leadership would get a much-needed reset. Therefore, let's lay all of our cards on the table. Fans are incensed, referees are making or not making gammy-during calls, and one star looks to continue to gain from every whistle. Internal probes, stolen communications, and a commissioner who has so far remained utterly mute as the internet rages are all on the table. A league that is attempting to expand and establish itself while balancing legitimacy and manipulation looms over all of this. This goes beyond simply one missed foul, or Caitlin Clark or Asia Wilson. It all comes down to having faith in the game, the officials, and the leadership. Fan support isn't the only thing that could disappear if the WNBA doesn't take quick action. It is the players, the sponsors, and the league's overall future. Because you are free to market empowerment whichever you like. Players won't play, spectators won't watch, and the league won't survive if the game doesn't feel fair. The question is now straightforward. Will the WNBA collapse on its own silence or clean house? Because this is far from over, stay tuned. For more, remember to like and subscribe. Music.